So for this, we need the admin SDK. So the thing is, when we create a cloud function, which will be called whenever anything happens in Cloud Firestore, then that function is associated with a specific document. So if we take this cloud function that we have created, it will be executed whenever a document is added to this path. So this function in some way is associated with the link document which will be added. And because of that, we can read and write to that document. And in fact, we are doing that. We are reading the document by using the data method, and we are getting these two fields. Now the thing is, we can read and write only to that document. We cannot access any other part of the Cloud Firestore. And because of that, we need the admin SDK. So when we initialize the app, we already added the admin package over here, the package.json inside the functions directory. We have this package. So let's import it right over here, and we can name it as admin. Let's import the package, and just like the client side, we have to initialize the admin. Let's do that by using the initialize app. So we kind of did the same thing over here in the Firebase file, which is used on the client side, where we called the initialize app and we passed in the config. Well, we don't have to do that, as this is something which will work in the Firebase infrastructure. So it doesn't need, like, we don't have to pass in the credentials explicitly. Now that being said, now that we have initialized the admin, we can use it right over here. So by using the admin SDK, we have access. We can tap into different services that Firebase provides. For our case, we need to use it for Firestore. So we have to call the Firestore method on the admin. Then we need to specify the path, the document path. So let's use the doc method. And in this case, I will be using backticks, because the document which we are about to create, we need to use, we will be specifying the document ID, which is actually going to be the short code. So inside the links collection, the root level, the top level one, using the template literal in such a way, we can use the short code as the document ID. And by using the set method, we can fill in the data that we want to. So I actually changed the link param to link ID. You can do the same thing, because it kind of makes more sense, and you have to kind of get the same thing. It was earlier as link, I kind of changed it to link ID. So now we have to fill in the different fields. We need to add in the user UID, the link ID, and the long URL in such a way. And as this is going to return back a promise, we can return it instead of returning the promise.resolve. So it's going to work the same way. So now whenever any link is created, this function will be called, and we are using the admin SDK. We are using it for Firestore, and in this path, inside the links root level collection, we are adding a document with a short code as the document ID, and we are adding these fields. So let's take it for a spin and let's see if it works. So I will be opening the logs just to see it real time. And now let's create a link. So now if we create it, it has been created. That's perfect. And within the functions emulator log, I should be seeing, well, there we have it. As you can see, beginning of execution, the link created function, and it finished as well, which means it kind of worked, because we are returning this thing. So it should first resolve, then only it kind of tags it as finished. And if we take a look at the database, there we have the collection. That's great. And there we have the document. So that is amazing. It means that we actually have added, like, everything is working fine, the same short code, the same thing. That is great, with all the required fields. So that's amazing. So now we actually have everything to implement the redirect feature, so that the user can redirect. And there are a few other things which I think, well, we need to work on the delete. for which I guess we will be using one another, like we're going to use one more cloud function, or we can do it from the client side. I haven't really thought about it. We can verify the request by using the user UID. So that's possible. That's one way to do it. And in order to ensure that the user from the client side, they delete both the documents, we can use batch. But I think that's going to be way more, like it's going to be more than the scope which I planned for this project. So I think we will be sticking with cloud functions, but again, I will kind of think about that. So yep, we will be adding the delete. We have added the creation. We need to add in the feature to increment, where we just need to update the document. We need to update the total clicks whenever the user redirect. So that's one thing to keep in under note. And I think that's it. We have come a far way. We have come a long way with this application. Initially, I didn't plan it to be such huge. I wasn't thinking that it's going to take so much amount of time. Anyway, if you're still watching, if you have come this far, I kind of really appreciate that. And if you could subscribe, and if you could kind of share with this among your peers, that will mean a lot. Now that being said, let's continue with this application and let's work on other stuff.